Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Hello and welcome to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Craig Sager. I'm joined to my left by Hayden Gilbert and Max Wyborski. Today, it's Monday. We've got a lot of Final Four action to recap from the weekend, and we will also set the stage for this week's GHSA State Championship basketball matchups. All week long, we'll have great guests. Today, though, we will be joined by Kassie Scott, that is Cherokee Bluff's girls head coach. They had a thriller in the semifinals. They're going to the state championship. And then we will have Mario Mays of Holy Innocents on in the final segment. We'll also have Tim Scott of the GHSA. He'll talk about some of the reclassification discussions as well as championships that are here for our winter sports. But let's get started on these fast break headlines. Pretty exciting weekend. I think when I look at the results, I feel like a lot of first-time teams are in the state championship this year. Some pretty big upsets, I feel like. Some other ones where we knew they'd be tough. But what's your overall sense of what the championships are looking like, Hayden?
It's really interesting. We went into this season, and it kind of felt, especially like in 6A, it felt like Grayson was kind of on top. And now you get to it, and Wheeler ends up upsetting them. And there's been so many big teams that have lost. Carver Atlanta lost. Grayson lost. It just feels like there's a lot of new blood and a lot of teams that we didn't expect to be here.
Yeah, and how about, to that point, we're talking about Grayson last year. They made history with the boys and girls both winning for the first time. Now it's Newton that has that chance to really have that premier season. They put the boys and girls in the state championship. Boys had a big win over Pebblebrook, and then the girls had their big victory. It'll be a rematch with Grayson. But what do you think about Newton in 6A this year?
I think it's really interesting. You look at what they've done. They went into the playoffs. They had lost both, I think, all three of their matchups to Grayson, and they went into it kind of as an underdog, as a team that kind of been forgotten about as a 2 seed, and they make their way all the way through the playoffs, and now they're right there with a chance to win a state title.
And then, Max, you were talking about just Holy Innocents, what they have an opportunity to accomplish this year. What's your thoughts just on some of the smaller classifications and them being able to put in 2 programs in that crowded private bracket?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's incredible. It just really speaks on what that program's all about. I mean, you look at what they've done this season with Caleb Wilson on the boys' side and with Haley Swain on the girls' side as well. 2 terrific players leading 2 phenomenal teams, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, we will. All right, well, we will get started in a second. I don't know how we've done on our pick'ems, but just your early sense in Class 6A, do you feel like it's a different matchup with, now that Grayson's out, how do you think Newton approaches this, playing a Wheeler team that just beat the team that has beaten them 3 times this season?
You really have to, I think as Newton, you kind of feel a little better. You're not playing with, I think Wheeler's ungodly talented. But they're not, you don't look at it, you're like, oh, they don't have these big guards, big wings that, say, a Grayson does. So you're like, maybe a bit smaller team in Newton has a better chance of winning that game.
True, and then it actually is a rematch. Wheeler played Newton. Wheeler's won 20 straight. I think that was the 8th straight win on that win streak, but it was a very close game. So I feel like, I mean, Newton, they're in the championship. They know it's just one more game. They can do it. I think it's going to be a great matchup, and then obviously credit for Wheeler. They avenged that previous loss to Grayson. But let's go ahead. We'll get into our fast break headlines. We got some from the weekend and then some from last week we've got to catch up on. So, Max, go ahead and get us started.
Sure thing. Well, our first fast break headline of the day, we have Wheeler stopping the Grayson Rams shot at back-to-back state championships as the Wildcats cemented their spot in their 10th state title game in program history. They defeated Grayson 68-53 at the Georgia State's Convocation Center. Nothing came easy, but Wheeler outscored Grayson 39-21 in the second half and 19-10 in the fourth quarter to secure their spot in the finals. Wheeler also went 11 of 15 at the foul line as well in the fourth quarter, kind of closing that out with some free throws and just another way to get to the state championship game as well.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the overall game plan. And then in the second half, Wheeler outscored them 39-21. But as you mentioned, it was done at the foul line. 15 trips, they came up clutch, making 11 of them. Really just took the ball out of Grayson's pace. And we've seen Grayson, they've been dominating all season long, but they do it pretty much by like overwhelming the team with their athleticism. The few games they have lost, the out-of-state ones, I feel like they got exposed in some areas when a team's able to close it down, have their scores, and then credit to Wheeler winning the state title 2 years ago, replacing that entire team last year, having a great run, and then getting back and having an opportunity to win their 10th state title and get back on top. I know Wheeler prides himself in basketball, and this would be a big accomplishment. And beating Grayson, not complaining about how tough the bracket is, pretty big accomplishment.
And I know when we all talk about Wheeler, we talk about Tyler Jordan, the Ole Miss signee, and he had 12 points, which is nothing against Grayson. But I mean, you look at guys such as Mansur McLean with 18 points and 5 rebounds, and 4-star sophomore Kevin Savage, who also put in 14 points of his own. Production is coming from all angles.
Yep, certainly. And I feel like they've hit their peak, and one of those big results came when Etowah had that great comeback. Coach Thompson said it kind of woke his team up, and they really have been on fire. Obviously, 20 straight wins. But let's talk about the other side of the bracket, Max, real quick, with Pebblebrook trying to have that comeback, but Newton being able to hold on.
Yes, so Newton defeated Pebblebrook as Pebblebrook tried to rally down back from a 10-point deficit with less than a minute remaining. But Newton's Javion Nurse's potential game-winning 3 at the buzzard hit the front of the rim, giving Newton a 56-53 victory, sending them to the state championship against Wheeler as well.
Yep, and Pebblebrook's coach George Washington just talked about how proud he was of the team, just being able to get it this far, losing just a toss-up game that could have gone their way, but that was quite a deficit to have to dig out of 10 points in that fourth quarter. All right, so let's go to another historic outcome. This was North Cobb Christian advancing to their first state championship game since 2008. Now, when they advanced in 2008, that was back-to-back times. They won state titles in 07 and 08, but that was when they were still a GISA school. So we like to see some of these smaller schools that have had success in GISA have come over to the GHSA, and it's tough at first, but they've obviously been able to get back to the state title, and they're trying to win their first ever GHSA state championship. In this game, though, they won 57-51 over powerhouse Green Forest Christian. In the semis, Brock Bass Bonner took over in the fourth quarter and supplemented the three-point shooting of teammate Xavier Butler. The victory sent number 1 seeded North Cobb Christian, now 28-3, into Wednesday's matchup where they will face Holy Innocents. It will be the first title game since the school won their back-to-back as a GISA school. All right, Hayden, take us away with some coaching news from last week in the Savannah area.
So we actually talked about this on the show. Islands and Savannah High School are now looking for head coaches, as Deshaun Printup and Bud Tolliver have both stepped down from their respective schools. Coach Tolliver posted on X saying it was with mixed emotions that I announced my departure as the head football coach at Islands High School. He was Coach Printup was a star player at Savannah State, and took over for Robert Zollers in 2019 after he was let go for recruiting violations. He led the Sharks to their first ever playoff win in 2020, going 7-2 and winning that playoff game. He also said that in late January, the administration told him that he was no longer going to be the head coach and that he could interview for the job, but they were going to interview other candidates. He said he felt it was best for him to step away from the program after receiving a few outside perspectives from his mentors.
Yeah, and that's right. When I look at what happened in this situation, it looked like both the school and the coaches had been talking probably over the last few months about the future direction of the program, what they wanted to do, and then ultimately both these, it looked like they decided to step away.
Yeah, and then Coach Tolliver stepped down. He's heading back up to his home state of Virginia to coach at Hidden Valley High. And I think especially in that case, it's probably best for both of them involved. He's heading back home. He gets to be where he wants to be, and then Savannah, the name brand school in Savannah kind of gets to take over and look for a new head coach after a few subpar seasons.
Yep, and then obviously these guys, it was a tough decision for both of them, but they weighed the options, took their time, and now they will have to replace those. We saw another situation, I think, the last couple weeks with Niketa Battle leaving Dutchtown, but he's landed on his feet at Banneker High School now. So if you go to scoreatl.com, we've got a lot of the coaching changes covered with in-depth just on where they've ended up, and you can follow all that. Let's go to some baseball news in Headline 5 real quick. Walton picks up a 13-6 win over North Cobb. This was actually their region opener, so a big battle right there. Logan Weidman went 2 for 5 with a home run and 2 RBIs to help the Raiders get the victory to open Region 5 Class 6A play. Walker Kilmet homered while Jackson Taylor was 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs. Devin Crone had 3 hits, including 2 doubles and an RBI, and then Dominic Rossi added 2 hits with 3 RBIs. Jacob Saburo pitched 2 1/3 and struck out 3 to earn the win. Walton was 7-2 after the victory, and they also hosted North Cobb again. Also in Cobb County, Pope had a win over North Forsyth 4-2. 4 pitchers combined on a 1-hitter to lead the Greyhounds to a non-region victory. Everett SB pitched 4 no-hit innings and got help from relievers Nick Bobrowski, Justin Morneau, and Matt Levinson, the last of whom earned the save, and then John Stutzer. If you remember this last football season for Pope, he was, I think, the state's leading receiver at one point. Unbelievable 2-sport athlete. He was 2 for 4 at the plate with a homer, a double, and 2 RBIs. And then Tanner Menor added 2 hits and an RBI. Pope improved to 5-2 with the victory. You can go to scoreatl.com. Later today, we'll have the Week 4 baseball rankings posted right there. All right, before we go into the next segment, real quick, just anything that you guys are working on early this week outside of basketball we can expect on the website?
So I should have my girls soccer rankings up probably tomorrow, I think, is when they come out. I'm really excited about those. We're really getting the full swing with girls soccer right now.
Yeah, I've got some baseball blog coming out tomorrow. Need to narrow it down what I need to write it on, but it should be on something around the top players in the state as well.
And then we're also previewing all the state championship matchups. So what classes are you guys getting into with yours?
I have my 2A and 1A private, or 1 to 3A private schools that I've covered all season.
I have Class 4A and Class AD1, and it's going to be some games for those 4 games.
Yes, it will. All right, and I've got Class 6A and Class A Division II. We'll have all those previews up at scoreatl.com. But that is it for our first segment. Don't go anywhere. We will be back on the other side with our BSN Weekend Recap.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back. So now it is time for our BSN Weekend Review. We will highlight the boys' Final Four matchups right now in this segment. Let's start in Class 6A. We've already talked about Wheeler knocking off Grayson. Grayson was number 10 in the national polls. I think Wheeler was number 11. So it's a huge win for them, avenging a previous loss, 68-53. In that victory, you had Kevin Savage with 18 points, Mansur McLean 16 points, Ole Miss signee Tylis Jordan had 14, and then for Grayson leading the way was Caleb Holt. he had 13, and then Cal State Fullerton signee Kawani Garris 6 points. So obviously a tough pill to swallow for Grayson, an otherwise outstanding season, but it's tough to win back-to-back state titles. Still, though, you see what Grayson's been able to do, winning state title in basketball last year, football this season, making it to the semifinals in basketball. Their baseball team actually made it to the finals for the first time ever last year. So still a lot to be proud of for Grayson. The girls are obviously in the state title, but a tough loss for a team that previously beat Wheeler. I think they should refocus, probably come out with a vengeance next year. But then their region rival, Newton, they're able to advance past Pebblebrook 56-53 in this game. Looks like that was Zyrie Brown had 5 3-pointers, but Newton was able to hit just enough free throws. App State signee Ted Neal had 13 points, Marcus Smith had 10, and then Brown led Pebblebrook with 16 points. We already talked a little bit about that matchup. I picked Wheeler to win it all, so we'll see. But I'm impressed by Newton. I think they're very similar to Grayson with their style, and they've got a big opportunity. I think the key, though, they will not be afraid to play anyone because they're battle tested. Let's go to Class 5A real quick. We'll talk about Woodward Academy getting their 63-58 win over Hughes. Woodward's had a great playoff run. They already beat Milton. And then Tri-Cities, how about that? 75-63 victory over Lee County, a team that's made runs to the state finals. What do you think, Hayden, about this potential matchup, or not potential, this matchup that's locked down with Woodward Academy and Tri-Cities?
I think this is one of those matchups that we kind of, going into the Final Four, kind of looked at and thought this was probably the most likely thing to happen. I think you really look at what Tri-Cities was able to do and to be that physical against Lee County and to weather that storm so well. I think you look at them, you think they have a really good shot to beat Woodward Academy.
Yes, they do. And in that game, they put up 75 points against Lee County. Sean Van Dorn and Trey Keith combined for 52 of their 75 points. So that's going to be the key right there for Woodward Academy. That duo between Sean Van Dorn and Trey Keith, one of the more explosive duos we've seen in the playoffs so far.
I mean, you have those two as well for Tri-Cities, and then you also have 4-star recruit Jalen Wingfield as well. You have to figure out a way to stop all 3 of them just to beat Tri-Cities as well.
True. So, I mean, that will be an outstanding matchup. And I think Tri-Cities for them, this is their 5th time that they've advanced to the state championship in the last 9 years. Would be a big accomplishment for them. All right, let's get into Class 4A. This is very exciting. And what's interesting to me, you have North Oconee, a defending state champ. They've actually had some close matchups the last 2 rounds. And then they play Pace Academy, another huge victory, 76-40 over Tucker. They've won by 37 points per game this entire playoff run. But I think defensively, holding Tucker to 40 points, holding Kell, I think, to 40 points also, or maybe that was the 80 to 50. Pace Academy's defense has been incredible this season. I think they're a much different team, but I mean, how big time is this matchup, Max?
I mean, I feel like this is one that we predicted when we saw the bracket come out not too long ago, and we said it's going to be Pace Academy and it's going to be North Oconee, and whoever can beat them really will have something here in this tournament. But now they're both seeing each other in the state championship game, and I just think with the guys that are on both of these teams, whether it's Eric Chatfield or whether it's Chandler Bing, and on the other side, whether it's Justin Wise, Kamari Brooks, Banks Portier as well, these are guys that must be accounted for when they're on the court, and I mean, they can kill you if you let them go.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned some of North Oconee's players, but I think Chandler Bing this season has been the biggest difference for Pace Academy. Obviously, Eric Chatfield's been the point guard, but in this last matchup, 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists, nearly had a triple-double. And when you look at his numbers this season, I mean, he probably hasn't even had to play a lot in the fourth quarter the way they're winning by 30 points. So, I mean, he is absolutely stuffing the stat sheet. Who do you think is favored kind of in this matchup?
I would give the edge just to Pace Academy. I know North Oconee is a reigning champ, and they have the experience in the big games, as well as the state championship game last year. But I just feel like with the dynamic duo of Eric Chatfield and Chandler Bing as well, I mean, these guys are hard to stop.
Absolutely. So that would be a big-time matchup right there. Pace Academy is hungry after falling short last year. They actually lost to Holy Innocents. Holy Innocents ended up going to the finals, lost to North Oconee. So a lot of familiar faces. Let's go to Class 3A real quick. This is going to be Sandy Creek against Cedar Grove. Sandy Creek was a 71-42 winner over Windsor Forest. They advanced to Macon with a chance for a three-peat. They led 14-0 to start the game, and then Cedar Grove 53-45 victory over Monroe. They've been, I believe, #1 in our poll all season long. Hayden, what do you think about this matchup? Kind of two teams that are very familiar with each other.
Oh, I think that's what makes this so interesting. You look at these two teams. They've been in the same region outside this year for years, and it seems like it's always Cedar Grove throughout the years that's been kind of on the back foot, that just can't get over that hump to beat Sandy Creek. Sandy Creek's won two or three straight titles at this point, and now you look at it's like it kind of feels like that they've switched positions where it's Sandy Creek going in as the underdog, and can Cedar Grove finally get over that hump for the first time since like the 60s?
Yeah, I think it's a little different contrast to styles. Sandy Creek is just open about how fast of a pace they want to play with. They play above the rim. They're exciting to watch. And then Cedar Grove's been more defensive oriented this year. They can light it up, but I feel like they feel more comfortable in a game when it's in that 50 to 60 point range. Sandy Creek's not afraid to play at a faster pace. And then I think another key for Cedar Grove is Keith Gillespie. He only had 8 points in the last round, but he's been getting it done for Fayette County the last few years. He transferred over, and he's one of the best shooters in the state. So watch out for him. He's been there, and this will be his senior year. All right, Class 2A, you got Butler winning in overtime against Carver Columbus, 78-73. Big-time victory over #1 ranked Carver Columbus, denying them an opportunity to win the state title. And then Union County defeated Tattnall County 54-38. Haven't looked too close at Union County this season, but what are your initial thoughts, guys, about this Class 2A finals matchup?
I mean, this is an interesting one. I've covered 2A has been one of my classifications all season, and you really look at Union County. I kind of wrote them off. You look down, and you're like, well, they're playing in a region that's not particularly great, but they come out and they beat Tattnall County, who I think they were the 2 seed. They were expected to. I think they were by far the favorite going into that game, and they come out and Union County kind of plays to Tattnall County's game. It's a low-scoring game, but they're able just to play great defense and get enough to win. And then Butler beat Carver Columbus, which was the favorite all year. So I think it's a really interesting matchup between two underdogs.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to Class A Division I real quick. Best Academy beat East Lawrence 73-58, and then Southwest Macon defeated Toombs County 65-54. So it will be Best Academy against Southwest Macon in that finals. In Class A Division II, real quick, this is another one where we have seen this collision happening from a distance. It's going to be Savannah against McIntosh County Academy, the Region 3 rivals. I believe this will be the 4th time they've played this season. They have split. It should be a very intriguing, close matchup. And then Class 3A through A Private, you have North Cobb Christian. We talked about them beating Green Forest, getting back to the finals for the first time since 2008 in the GHSA, and then Holy Innocents, a huge win over Mount Perrin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, I mean, Holy Innocents, they were just too much for Mount Perrin. I mean, Caleb Wilson and all he did as well. I mean, just a really good player, and then that game's just going to be very good as well against North Cobb Christian.
Yep, I think what is going to benefit them just being able to dominate like that in the semifinals, rest the starters, kind of be able to celebrate, soak in the moment, and then have that focus towards the championship already. I mean, they handle business. They got to feel really proud about how dominant they've been in the playoffs, but setting up this big opportunity after falling short last year should be a good one. But that's it for this segment. We'll be back on the other side with the GHSA's Tim Scott. All right.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we'll welcome on the GHSA's Tim Scott. Tim, how's it going this morning?
Hey, doing well, man. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. So give us a quick update on this upcoming meeting and then how last week went and kind of what this one looks like after last week.
The reclass is what you're speaking of?
Yes, sir.
So we had a very productive meeting. We discussed competitive balance. I think the reclass committee had a good bit to talk about. Then one of the members did present another option that we're working on and looking at. So it's very productive conversation. Again, we're not anywhere close to making a decision one way or another, but it's something that we are looking at and trying to see what may be best for the organization, or if we just stay with what we've got, and all that's up right now. And this is just part of what we're discussing.
And do you feel like a consensus might be forming about some of these questions?
Well, they did do a little straw vote with the reclassification committee. I believe there were 11 people not in favor of competitive balance. 5 of them were in favor of competitive balance, and 2 had not made a decision yet at that time. But again, that's a small number, and it's just part of what we've been talking about and discussing. I'm anxious to see what this next proposal brings that we're talking about, and just kind of see, because the idea here is just really to bring what's best for the membership and get that out there, and try to do the best we can for our membership. And so that'll be decided by these people. So hopefully we can do that. And but there seems to always be conversation around reclassification.
Yes, sir. And then you have a reclassification committee, and then you also hear, I guess, discussions for some other ideas. But how many people are part of that reclassification committee, and are they bringing different ideas to the table? Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's how that works. Their members of the reclassification committee are in different parts of the state. They can talk to people in their area, and we have private school, public schools, large schools, small schools, large districts. And so they can talk with people in their part of the state and get some ideas and put things together and then bring it to the table. And we'll, discuss them, ask questions about them, work on some things and say, hey, bring it back. And so that's kind of, how this works.
And then if something maybe isn't popular at first, it might come up in another meeting in the future. But as a committee, before you guys move on, what does it take to maybe put an idea aside and move on to the next one until you guys can just continue to advance to these meetings?
Well, I think at this time we're really working on that second proposal now. We've got a few things. Competitive balance has been being worked on for the last 3 years, I guess. And so there's a few things left there that we've discussed and we'll have to make decisions on, because if it comes to a vote, we need to make sure everybody knows exactly what they're voting on. So there are a few things there that the group is working on, but primarily now I think we want to listen and hear what this other proposal is about. And, is it going to take us where we need to go, or do we, look at something else, or do we just say, hey, right now it's getting too late, we're going to just stay with what we're doing?
And Dr. Scott, with the basketball state championships happening in Macon this week, what makes that place such a reliable spot to host the state tournament? And do we see that place being kind of the future of where the state tournaments will keep being in the future?
Well, we'll have to see about in the future. I know there's discussion about them building a new arena down there. I don't know when that will take place, but really it's a center portion of the state. It's easy to travel. It's right close to the interstate. And the city of Macon's been very good to us and worked with us very well. And so we're excited to be able to do that. But there are other places that all over the state that consistently ask, and but when we do anything, we need to make sure we look at travel, look at hotel space, parking. There's a lot of different things that we have to consider in making a decision for a host site.
And then you talked about how it's nice to have Macon like in the middle of the state. Is that what goes into the thought process where you see that, okay, football is either at Georgia State or Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so you guys want to kind of split it up on where some of the championships are? You got Columbus for softball, you got, I think, Rome maybe some of the years for tennis. Is moving it to Macon just a part to give a different region of the state a championship?
Well, it's a great facility right now, for us, and they're very helpful there and work with us. But we are part of Georgia, and we do move things around and host things in different areas of the state, and so we'll continue to look and see where we can host some things. But again, we have to have hotel rooms, we have to have good parking. We want to make it accessible, and if it's close to an interstate where they can, the ease in and ease out and those kind of things. We look at all of that. So again, we'll start looking at some of that stuff as quick as basketball is over with this year. We'll be looking at where we would be wanting to host our events next year, which includes the semifinals and the finals.
Absolutely. And then what was just the takeaway of how the semifinals went this week, just being all over the state at these different locations, just having the referees there, the tickets, everything that goes on to it? How'd the host sites do?
I think the host sites did a great job. We have people at all those sites, some really exciting games. There were some, right down to the buzzer, wins and losses for teams. So it was a really exciting time. Crowds was good, and very thankful for all those host sites.
And then being in a championship is such a exciting opportunity for, everyone from the players, the coaches, the cheerleaders, the student section. But what goes into some of these organizations between officials just deciding who gets to have this opportunity to put that on the resume, being able to officiate a state championship game?
Well, there's an evaluation process that takes place with those officials, and obviously they have to have certain training before they can even qualify, and but that's how that goes into a place. And Andy Cowart does a lot with Ernie and Daryl and some of our other people to help with that. Then, of course, tonight at 7, we have a Zoom where we'll meet with all the teams and kind of go over, the process and procedures for coming into Macon, and, just like we did back at the Benz when we had the state championship finals there.
And then it will be 16 state championships plus the adapted wheelchair state championship. It's a pretty big marathon. So what are you looking forward to, just having just championship game after championship game?
Just to see the excitement, interact with the fans and talk to people. The wheelchair event is adaptive sports event is really great, and their board will be there. And so excited to have them on Saturday. So it's going to be a good time, and kind of wraps up the winter sports. And then now, of course, we're already started spring activities, and it won't be too long. We'll be getting ready to host those state championships as well.
You bet. It's our own version of March Madness. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week, and see you down in Macon.
See you in Macon, man. Y'all have a good week.
All right, so there goes Tim Scott. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the other side with Cherokee Bluff's head girls coach.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back, we're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we will welcome on Kassie Scott to the show, Cherokee Bluff's head girls basketball coach. How's it going, Coach?
It's going well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So what a incredible, exciting, emotional win you guys had in the semifinals. Just walk us through just the experience that was, just seeing your girls in such an incredible game, being able to come out on top.
Yeah, that's something they've been doing all season long. I feel like I've said it a million times, but we've faced a variety of talented teams in our schedule all year long. So being put in a situation like that, I wasn't too worried. I have girls that can compete. And at the end of the day, players make plays, and that's just what happened in that last 3.8 seconds.
And Coach, this has been a season of just first after first after first. With all these firsts, how does it just feel to have this season get all the way to the state finals?
It's unreal, if I'm being honest. We've talked about it, me and my girls, and had you asked us this a couple months ago, seeing ourselves in the state championship, probably not, just because we were facing so many injuries and sickness and things like that. But one thing they've done really well is take it one game at a time, and taking it one game at a time has brought us to that position. And now we're playing in the state championship on Wednesday.
And Coach, we all saw the buzzer beater. It was a heck of a shot. How do you kind of get your team to rebound and focus on the state championship game after such a win?
Right. So they have an opportunity, that was just a movie-like moment for us. And I wanted them to enjoy that moment. We get back to work today. We have practice this afternoon, and we've already been watching film and game planning and strategizing for this next one. So it's kind of one of those things like, yes, we did it. We enjoyed that moment. We lived in it. But now we have to get back to work and focus on another one.
Then walk us through that final play. I mean, we saw the shot, banking it in, but what was the situation like heading into it? How do you guys draw that up?
So I knew that they were going to hone in on my shooter. So number 3 is Claire Carlson right here to my right. I knew they were going to try to keep her off from taking a shot. So I just put her as the inbounder. And my other 2 players that were involved in the play, which Bristol Kirsch right here is the one who hit the shot. I just knew it had to be in one of their hands. It had to be in either Bristol's hands or Claire's hand to get the shot that we wanted. So Audrey and Hallie had another big role in that of just setting screens and giving them a good look at it. So I drew it up the best way. Now the fumble wasn't part of the play, but she stuck with it and she got a shot off. And I mean, it was an amazing shot. That's, like I said earlier, it was a movie-like, and that was something that they will remember forever. I will remember for forever.
And this question's actually for Bristol. Being just a sophomore and being in that game and kind of performing what you did and hitting that shot, what's kind of going through your head? And also, follow-up question, what was the play design? And what was going on through your head?
Well, my first instinct was to give the ball to Claire because she's our shooter. But again, I fumbled the ball, which didn't go as planned, but I stayed with it. And then I just tried to get a shot off, which after that, it was just the best feeling ever. Like all the students rushing, all of the players rushing to the court. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that had to have been pretty surreal. I mean, were you just so happy to make the shot, or did it sink in that you guys were going to the championships?
I both actually, because I've never been to a state championship. We've never been to a state championship. Well, they have for softball, but for basketball anyway. So yeah.
And then, I mean, basketball is such a big sport in the state of Georgia. The girls' basketball is off the charts. It's so competitive. I mean, what does that mean, just as talented as girls' basketball is in Georgia, to have your team represented in the state championships?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm really proud of ourselves, and I'm proud of Coach Scott. Like, we're really happy.
And then, Coach, walk us through just the journey of this season, just maybe some of the ups and downs, or what you've seen from your team, just their ability to progress through this.
Well, we've played a tough non-region schedule to prepare us. We knew with the power rankings we needed to get good quality teams to stay up into the ranking where we needed to be when we knew state playoffs came around. So playing a lot of good teams. We played, Lakeview Academy, who just won the GIA state championship. We played Buford. We played Chestatee, who has a good rep in state playoffs. So we just played really good teams just down the road from us. And that's one thing is we took losses during our region play to two really good teams that were close games. We just felt we were better in those moments, and we just came up shorthanded. So we won the big ones when it mattered most in region tournament play, and now we're here. So that was one of my main messages to them was, no matter how we end up in the seeding for region, how we continue to play for the state playoffs is what's going to matter. And one game at a time is the focus. We can't get too far ahead. We can't reminisce on anything that we've already gone past, whether it's been a win or a loss, and we just keep working.
I think, Coach, there's only one game left for that one game at a time mentality. It's against a really good Baldwin team. Just tell me what you expect from this Baldwin team.
They're big. They've been here before. They've got great athletes, and so for us, there's no pressure on my girls, and that's one thing they understand. There's no pressure from me. As far as like, oh, we have to go in there and win. Obviously, winning is the outcome we all want. But we know that they're big. They've been on this stage before. So what's going to matter for us is knocking down shots, staying disciplined, and playing the game we know how to play, and it'll be a game. But my expectation is that we're going to win, because that's just the competitor's mentality that I have, and I have a good group of girls that share that with me. So we're going to compete for 4 quarters. That's all we can do, and the outcome will speak for itself.
And then, Coach, real quick before we let you go, just talk to us who you have there with you right now. Give them a little introduction so we can watch for them this week.
Absolutely. So we have Claire Carlson right here. She is a junior shooting guard for me. Bristol Kirsch is my sophomore point guard. I have Hallie Wilson, who is a junior center player for me. And in the back here, I have Audrey Graham, who is a junior shooting guard for us.
And then how much experience was on this team just to start the season? I mean, how long has this group been together?
They've been playing since they were little. Parents were sending me pictures of them from, their little peewee days, which was awesome. But they've been together for a long time. And both Claire and Bristol played JV with me when I was the JV coach at the time when they were in 8th grade. And then Audrey and Hallie have been playing since their freshman year. So last year, we graduated 6 seniors, 3 of them who had a big impact on the team we had then. We had all returners this year, and I have 1 senior this year. So I have still this special group with me for 1 more year before we get back into that rebuilding process of it.
And then, Coach, you mentioned your team is battle-tested and have taken some losses early on in the season. What do you feel really sets your team apart from the rest?
They keep going. They don't settle for what has happened in that moment. They want to be better the next day. They want to put in the work. They give effort. They're a player-led team. So whatever my message is to the team, these group of girls right here are my leaders of the group, and they reiterate the messages that I'm saying and get it across to what the girls need to hear, not only from me as the coach, but from them as their teammates. And they compete, they don't quit. And I say that 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times more. We have elite players at the basketball level, at the softball level. So they've been on this stage before in different capacities, but they're really good at what they do, and that's competing for 4 quarters.
And then with Baldwin, I mean, such a great team, but one of the things that I've seen teams being able to do that have been able to beat them, they get them into foul trouble. They're aggressive. They know Baldwin has a size, but they're able to get to that foul line. What do you see with your team just being able to be aggressive and put that pressure on some of their big presence in the paint?
Yeah, that's part of the game plan. Baldwin plays a zone defense, so my guards know that they have to attack the gaps and still play the aggressive game that we know how to play, and that's what's gotten us here is sticking to what the game plan is. So attacking the gaps, getting good shots off, and still defending on our end. You know, they're big, but the game plan doesn't change as far as what we do as a team and what makes us good defensively and offensively. So they know my expectation is for them to be aggressive and get shots off, and that's what we plan to do. And if the fouls come for us on our side, even better.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in Macon. We can't wait to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So there goes Cherokee Bluff. They will be facing Baldwin for the 3A title. Don't go anywhere. We got Holy Innocents on the other side. All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm joined now again by Hayden and Max. We're going to welcome on Holy Innocents head coach Mario Mays to talk about the Golden Bears going to the state championship. Coach, how's it going?
It's going great, man. Pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's get right into the semifinals. Just the way your team played, you're going up against a red-hot Mount Perrin team playing with a lot of confidence. We all know what they've done the last month. What were you proudest of, just the way your team handled that moment?
Just the effort on defense. We were connected defensively. The guys were communicating, flying around, just making plays. And, when we were able to hold them to one shot, we were able to rebound and run.
Yeah, and Mount Perrin, one of the things during their run that's, I guess, made them successful is any given night it can be a different score. So do you feel like the team defense, the communication was just at the top of the game for you guys?
Definitely. I think when we watched Mount Perrin and, watched tape on Mount Perrin, they do a heck of a job shooting the basketball. And like you said, man, these guys have, 4 to 5 guys on the floor at any time. That could hit the 3-point shot. So that was definitely a concern for us. So, our job was just to try to stay connected and communicate to make sure that they didn't get easy looks from the 3-point line.
And then, Coach, after a great season last year, coming into the season with such high expectations, just how do you keep this team locked in day out? Y'all have had such a great season, and it feels like every game y'all are just giving 100%.
Man, it's just a testament to the kids, their will and want to get back to this opportunity to win a state championship. Like you said, it's a long season. It's an extremely long season. And for the guys to stay locked in and, get back to this point, it's just been a blessing. We try to look at it as one game at a time, and just kind of compartmentalize it from that, standpoint. Don't think too far about what's down the road, but just keep what's in front of you as the priority. And the guys have done a great job of doing that.
Yes, sir. And then, Coach, it's mostly an upperclassman-led team with the likes of Caleb Wilson and Devin Hutcherson, Kingston Whitty, and Jordan Mays as well. What's been their message to the team as kind of the leaders and the upperclassmen on the team heading into the state championship?
Well, of course, Caleb has been with us for 4 years. Devin and Jordan were a part of the run last year, along with Clark Thurman, also Greg Allison, and also Coy Terry. So these guys were around last year. Kingston got here this year and, just trying to get him to understand the process of taking it one game at a time and staying focused. But, those other guys have, state championship game experience, Caleb, Jordan, and Devin. And so, the message from the coaching staff to them is just, just make sure the guys understand one day at a time, even one practice at a time. We try to get better every single day, which starts in practice. And our upperclassmen, like you said, have done a great job of helping to keep the guys focused on that thought of one day at a time.
And then, Coach, I want to ask you about the semifinals again. When your team really started to pull away, when were you comfortable to maybe take the starters out and be able to celebrate that win? And how did you take advantage of that second half?
Well, I think, in the third quarter, we felt like that, like you said, the guys had pulled away and put themselves in a situation that we could see the light and see the state championship game was something that we were going to be able to play in. And, really for us, at a certain point, you want to make sure that, you don't get guys injured, playing minutes that probably they could be resting and getting ready for the next game. But I think, right about the third quarter towards the probably about the first 2 to 3 minutes of the third quarter, it looked like our guys just figured out how to extend the lead. So as a staff, we start thinking, like you said, let's now we can start thinking about the big game and try to get guys breaks, especially Caleb Wilson, Devin Hutchinson. Those guys have played some long minutes, man, this season. So, of course, our goal was to try to get them to the next game without injury.
And then, Coach, just talk to me about this upcoming game. Y'all are playing North Cobb Christian. You and them have been 1-2 the entire season. Just talk to me about what's going to be a really good game.
North Cobb Christian has another really good group. They really shoot the ball well. I think they won like 19 games in a row. These guys have been hot. They play together. Coach Mott has done a great job with that program, and we know we got a huge challenge in front of us.
And Coach, in doing some research about Holy Innocents, I found out you guys, Holy Innocents, boys and girls basketball, you guys are the 11th program ever to have a girls and boys McDonald's All-American in the same season in Caleb Wilson and Haley Swain. What did you think, just a testament to both those players, and how do you think they've played this season as well?
Haley and Caleb have had great seasons. Both of them are leaders on the court, but they're also leaders in the community at Holy Innocents. And in regard to basketball, these two kids just put in a load of work. Each year, you can see both of these kids get better and better, and it's all kind of just come together as you see the way they play and they lead on the court. So it's been a blessing, man, to be around both of these kids. It's been a blessing for both programs to have kids like these two kids that are leaders on the court and off the court. And it's a real special time in our community because I just don't know, this moment is like, I don't even know if people understand the magnitude of the moment to have a boy and a girl that will be playing in the McDonald's All-American game on the same campus. And then, both of them playing in the state championship game. Like, it's a very exciting time at Holy Innocents.
Yes, it is. Well, Coach Mays, thank you so much for coming on. We look forward to it, and obviously look forward to Wednesday watching you guys compete for that state title. Thank you so much. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right, there goes Coach Mays. That's it for now, though. We'll be back all week long covering basketball, the state championships, right here at noon.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.